you drive on to get to and from work, to and from school, wherever you go, were placed on properties. Get the point? That is to say that properties are valuable and foundational. Without it, we really can't do anything. We need it. Even if you wanted to travel by boat, for some of you who say, oh, I don't need to be on land. In order to get to the boat or to the dock, you must travel on a property, on a road. For those who want to fly in the plane, what you have to do, the plane needs the runway. So remember that there is always value as it was in the property, despite the treatment of the property. And that is to say that even as a slave, and whether it is that you are suffering perhaps even injustices, like when Ms. McCartney spoke about slavery, the reality is injustices feel quite similar. For anyone who's experienced real injustice, I know I have, it feels eerily similar, because what happens in that process is the dignity of an individual is removed. There is a lack of concern or care for your humanity. Isn't it interesting to note that the treatment of property is not nurtured like a plant or an animal? Hence the reason why sometimes it's disregarded despite its value. And as a result of not attaching feelings to it, people would spit on the property, they would throw trash on the property, and all of this is done while it holds exceptional value. The value never changes. Never changes. It is not regarded as having feelings or anything of sensory worth. Even the farmland is plowed so that the crops are harvested. It's because of the property that you're farming, but yet it's never about it. So the Bahamian woman, So the Bahamian woman as a slave, while extraordinarily valuable, was yet denied her humanity, her dignity, and her care, and sometimes even her dear life. In the Bahamas, do you realize that during that time there were actually laws which governed and regulated the lives of slaves? I looked at a few during my research, and it was interesting to see how eloquently it was written. How eloquently the laws were written to denigrate a people who, unlike a land or a property, were no doubt able to converse with them, were able to move with them, were able to take care of their children and all of these things. So if we think land is valuable, how much more was that human, even though they were not accepted as human? How much more? Look at us in this room today. Imagine that. Because if it happened to your ancestors, if you were your ancestor, it would have been happening to you. The point I wish to establish here from this illustration is that being treated nastily by someone or receiving injustices, even by the system, does not determine your value. I want you to go away with that today. It doesn't determine your value, but what it does determine and what it does expose is their ignorance. And at the gravity, when you look at the gravity of ignorance, because okay, a lot of times we do not know everything. Sometimes you're just following what others have done. Now in this age, there's no reason to do that, because we live in an information age where information is readily available to all of us. And yet, there are persons with and seized with the knowledge. They still choose to do what they want to do. And a person who robs another human being of their dignity, no matter how young or how old, whomever, rich, poor, that person is actually very evil.